Hey there everybody, how's it going? I hope you guys are having a pleasant morning, evening, afternoon, wherever the heck you are, whatever time it may be. Of course, my name is Nightshade, and thank you so much for joining and checking out this replay. Of course, if you're following live on Twitch, we are casting this right now. Of course, if you're following on YouTube, hey, that's awesome. Thanks for checking us out here at IvD Gaming on YouTube. Now, up in the top left-hand corner, wearing his old clan tags for now, at least. Of course, he has switched. He switched sides. He's come to the dark side. He switched the light side, now to the dark side. Ladies and gentlemen, IvD Gaming's own Intense. Now, he will be, of course, playing up against none other than the very, very cheesy. I like this play. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is Dignitas Select, and if you guys did not know, if you're on Habitation Station and you grab your orbital command, you could pick it up and, oh, sorry, let's just go over this way. And you can pick it up, float it on over, park it on down, and if you move the SCVs at the exact same time, the SCVs show up ready to mine just seconds before this. So it's actually very, very efficient. But do have some caution. This can be viewed from the watchtower, which is the fast way across, so something you might want to be a little bit considerate of. And of course, I do like the fact that Select is grabbing the barracks. Of course, a little bit of background info here for you guys. Of course, Select is a South Korean, and this is actually a private game. This is not a ladder match, so I'm not sure what this came from exactly right off the top of my head. But they are chatting it up, so this may be a practice match between the two players. TvT, awfully interesting as well. Really quickly, Select has got a lot of accolades under his belt. First place TT Esports Challenge back in 2011. First place 2011 North American Battle.net Invitational. More recently, I'm just trying to see, somebody needs to update this Wikipedia page. He's got a full ton on 2011, 2012, fourth place at the MSI Battlegrounds. And the list goes on and on. He's actually got quite a bit of a cash pool here, so I'm just checking. And quite a bit going on there. So if you guys are curious, check it out. He's on Wikipedia. There'll be links in the comment section below. Of course, I never fail to get that up. Gas me taken very, very quickly here. So we should expect to see a Reaper probably coming out after this. Although, when did the gas go down? 2440. Nah, he's probably going to throw down a reactor or a factory behind this. I'd be surprised if he went with a Reaper. Just because of the way he's cranking out in the Marines. But more importantly, it's just he's banking the gas. Now, if we take over the Select space, of course, he's grabbing gas as well. And, you know, there's no real gain to a Reaper. If you guys are wondering on this map, this is the only spot you can jump up right here. So, realistically, getting a Reaper on Habitation Station is going to be about as worthless as anything. So, don't bother. And, of course, both players do know this. We do have factories going down as well. And, yeah, there we go. So it is going to, I would just expect to see, we should see a reactor thrown down on this barracks fairly soon. We'll come back to that in just a minute. There it is. Yeah. Speak of the devil. Factory also going down here for Select. Select is going to have the economic advantage in the early game. No duh. Gold, gold returns 7 per hit, if you're wondering. Just as a quick update, mules for quite some time do not get a bonus. They used to get a bonus on gold, but they don't anymore. They still only return 3 minerals per trip. Before, they used to get a really nice little bonus. It was really imba. If you had a full sheet of mules going away on the gold mineral patches, you could clean these things out so quickly, but your economy would just be absolutely insane. And you can see actually just down at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, he's got about a little bit of, well, he's workers-wise, he's down 3 workers, but he has the same economy coming in. And actually, he hasn't even called down his next, or rather, did he call down a mule? Oh, no, he used the scan instead, actually, so it looks like that's a little bit of a difference there. So, of course, Command Center is going to go down here for Intense. Bunker up front. I do like this a great deal. Very defensive play. Starport right behind it. And Engineering Bay behind that. So he's actually playing really, really standard. Very safe, very conservative opener. Will give him a lot of good options. But at the same time, he's not risking it too much. Of course, he is expanding on out, so he's going to have some good options later on, especially with this good, strong economy. The thing he needs to be considerate of the fact is that Select right now has been sitting on this gold for quite some time, and I'm not sure, he knows he's there, and this is an exposed position. That's why the Marines really can't leave. But there are Banshees on the way, and the longer he sits here and is able to harvest off of these mineral patches, he's going to be in a really good economic position, but he does need to shift on out of here. That's the real catch. Can't live here forever. There's only 6 mineral patches, and you clean them out awfully fast when you have a full load of Marines working away. Banshee is in the skies. Cloak has been researched, or rather is in the process of. It'll finish up fairly soon. And there is a Viking here, as well as a Banshee here, too. The no-knock visit from the We Don't Like You team. And Banshee is going to spot the Widowmine very, very quickly in the last minute. And, of course, Viking is going to say, no, you shall not pass. And is going to back on all the way out of there. There is, of course, this orbital command is now starting to return on that. And we do take a look down at the bottom. This is where it's going to change quite a bit. Intense now pulling ahead in the economic lead. He's not like he had a huge advantage at the beginning. I just feel that that Select kind of wasted it for the most part. You know, he had that nice economic advantage. He should have really jumped and capitalized on that, but he didn't. And now he's just finally grabbing his tank and his Marines and moving on out. Now, there is a tank, of course, that is going to come down here to the top of the ramp. And is going to perk itself up. Select is going to expand behind it, up into his natural. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually expands up into his main after that. And that's probably the most logical course of action, as far as I can tell. Of course, if you are following on Twitch, feel free to chat in the chat box. I do try to keep a good eye on that as we do the casting here. Tank is going to siege up in the low ground. Banshee in the high ground is going to provide the vision. Scan's going to go down, and Banshee does too. And yeah, so does the tank. That is very unfortunate for Intense. At least for the next short period of time, this bunker is going to be in a little bit of a rough spot. Somebody's going to have to come over and repaint the hole on that. It's got a couple scratches from the shells that have been fired down on it. There we go, and the repainting is going to start on up. Hey, look, all nice and shiny and new. SCV is going to back right on up here. This is going to be a really tough spot here, actually. Select really laying the waste down with these long-range artillery shells from the siege tanks. And Intense is going to be able to hold it, at least for now. The big thing is this Viking is like the money unit of all time. There is a Banshee here, though, and this is going to start assisting at least with that. Actually, no, he's just going to stop on the firing there. Interesting choice. Is going to shuffle on forward here so we can get some additional shots off. Maybe focus down the SCVs. Yes, indeed, we do. We do have a siege tank behind. However, this is going to be very, very hard for him to line it on up. Does not want to get into a situation where this tank is going to be a problem. A worker's been pulled off to help save both the bunker and the siege tank. Viking is going to start working away on this Banshee. Does it die? Yes, it does. But units have been pulled off, SCVs inclusive, to take care of these siege tanks. Marines are firing away as well. They are going to get mopped up by the siege tank on the high ground. And these two tanks are going to fall to the SCVs. SCVs are going to head right back to work. Viking is going to try to catch on up on over here, but I don't think there's any scans just quite available just quite yet. And despite the fact there's some good shots going off in the tank is going to survive, but this Banshee is going to be nothing but a nuisance, despite the fact it's now a dead nuisance as its hull flies and crash and burns onto the deck. Now, that at the same time, of course, we do see that the mineral patches here in Select's primary base are getting awfully whittled down, but I do need to point out that this match has been pretty much non-stop in front of Intense's base, so he's been a really, really hard position here. He's not been able to really get on out and see what's going on the map. We see, of course, looking at his vision, he does not know about the expansion. He does not know about these unit-producing structures in the center of the map here, so he is going to be in rough shape, at least for a little bit, but it does look like he's going to push on out here. Big shout-outs to Sean Ho 77. Lots of love for you too, guy. And, of course, this is interactive. Guys and girls, check us out, ivdgaming.tv and ivdgaming.com. And if you're following on YouTube, of course, you're already here, but youtube.com/ivdgaming as well. A little bit of a push here by Intense. I would actually say it'd be worth his while to actually just hold the Zelnaga watchtower, use the siege tank to hold that down. But in this particular case, it looks like he's going to lose the siege tank. He's going to pick up and get the heck out of Dodge. Do a little bit of a drop off here over on the on the gold mine. Now, in the interim, there was a Banshee over here just trying to take care of some business. Didn't work out so well for it. Intense's defense has got to be absolutely fantastic. Like, he's been able to hold all of these little attacks, but at the same time, he has been leaving Select unchecked, and that's not a good thing. Select is quite good, especially in the late game, and of course we do have Command Center going down up in the natural here. And he is going to actually take that watchtower position. I was just trying to mention, you know, siege tanks, they have that range, you know, that range versus vision bonus, right? You know, they can only shoot so far, and you do need to enhance their vision in order for them to get the full range out of a siege tank. That watchtower does precisely that. So guys, if you're in Bronze League, if you're in Silver League, and you're wondering a great way for you to kind of screw over your opponent, hold watchtowers to siege tanks. They will never get close to you. It's absolutely wonderful. Drop going down here, and Marines are going to start working away. SCVs are going to die like crazy. However, also at the same time, there is going to be a pickup of these Marines and getting on out of here. The siege tanks of Select are going to persuade Intense in a not-so-friendly manner to get the heck out of his main base. But that's okay. He's happy to relocate on over to the natural, and is precisely what he's going to do. He's going to see the absolute metric ton of Marines here, supported by the SCVs of Select, and surprisingly still going to continue to poke and prod with the support of these medevacs. And that high ground advantage, actually, is going to be able to do a fair bit of damage here. He's getting very, very low on health, though, and the one Marine that is left to tell the tale is going to fly out of there. And I'm sure he's sitting in the back of that, that drop, the medevac going, I seen things, man. I seen things. It was a bloodbath. Anyway, so he's going to have a severe case of PTSD as he flies all the way back to his base. But, yeah, just sitting there. It's just, again, this kind of situation where Select is trying to build himself up and trying to continue to push out onto the map, while his Intense is trying to do pretty much the same darn thing here. And it is going to be a skirmish in the center of the map here. It's Marine and Tank versus Marine and Tank. And realizing that he's getting completely outgunned here by the siege tanks, he just needs to hold this watchtower position. If he could just get on it, siege up, and he'd be laughing to the races here. But Select is in pretty good position here. And that's pretty much as it sits right now. And I do need to point out, though, that Select is... Select's on his third base. Yeah, the gold is completely exhausted. If you're wondering, that's how fast it goes. 15 minutes and you're done. And if you do take a look at like the natural of Intense, you'll see that, of course, that there's still minerals left in there. You're still mining off of it. So that is kind of the risk, of course. It's nice to have that nice little boost of income at the beginning of the game, but as you can see, Intense is trying to expand on out, take his third, and that'll be the gold as well. So he'll have a nice advantage into the mid to late game here. But he's losing so many Marines here to the siege tanks of Select, as Select is just continuing to fire on in with these unupgraded siege tanks. Now they're going to work on this high ground siege tank, who's also shelling back. SCVs have been pulled off. There is a march of Marines on here trying to clean things up here as well, trying to keep everything alive. This siege tank is worth its weight in gold, really. It's the only thing that's just taking care of business right now. It is going to fall, unfortunately, and if SCVs are not careful, they're going to probably get wasted as well. I do need to point out upgrades 1-1 currently right now for Select, and I think it's just, if I can only click on one of them, yeah, just 1-1 right now as well for, I should just look at the bottom of the freaking screen, it's on the menu for crying out loud, but anyway, 1-1 has been finished here, and I think we've actually got, do we have any additional upgrades? No, nothing. I'm actually just surprised by that. I'd like to see these guys get that +2/+2. It makes a huge difference, especially +3/+3 even. An absolutely massive difference, especially going into the late game. He who gets it first will generally come out ahead, but Intense has been applying a lot of really solid pressure, and I like this decision on his part. He's like, you know what, I can't really hold the center of the map here. I'm having a really hard time doing this, so I'm going to actually just not expand there. I'm going to expand on out to the left-hand side where it's a little bit safer and I can control the situation. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about, guys. You hold this, and you get all the vision in the world. The siege tank can do anything it wants. With up to 3 kills, and that will just continue to climb. And, of course, working away onto these supply depots that are within range. Select, unfortunately, is going to have to contend with this fact because, well, there's just a lot of units here supporting it. Intense looking really strong. Select, not to say that he's not as well. I mean, Army Supply is really close, but he's supply block right now. So his unit producing abilities right now are going to be really limited. And he still has yet to throw down a supply depot. So he needs to either kill off a couple of units or throw down some supply depots. So we're going to continue to wait at least a little while. Keep an eye peeled on that. He has thrown down 2 supply depots to try and counter that. At the same time, though, Intense is going to capitalize on this entire situation. He's going to lose a bunch of Marines, unfortunately, in the process, however. Continuing to do a lot of damage here and just really kind of clean up a lot of Select stuff. Now, there is a drop going off on the left-hand side. Not very big. It is going to get cleaned up really quickly. Of course, focusing down the medevac is the way to go, and Intense is going to take care of it really quickly. And he is going to back right on up and just siege up. You know, nice defensive place. He's got his third base up and running, looking really good. And I got to point out, Select a little bit of trouble here. He's mining really only off of 2 bases, these 2 here. His main, I guess you could say, and his natural. If we take a look at Intense, he's still mining a little bit off of his natural, or rather his main. His natural is nicely saturated, and so is his third. There's still the usual poke and prod here up onto the high ground as Intense is trying to continue to push his way across. But there is a very scary large force of Marines here pushing their way across the map, and this is going to be a bit of a problem, I think. There is units here to help on out. They are going to start working away. Siege Tank on the high ground is going to shell in the pain from a ways, and that is enough. Select is going to back right on up. And just with these 2 Siege Tanks alone, along with a small handful of Marines, I stand corrected, 3 with Siege Tanks, it's enough to push everything back. Although right now, Intense is in a bit of a problem. He's getting double flanked from the left and from the right, fighting for his death. And he says, screw it, I am out of here. And he is going to fly on over. You know, why not just drop on off your buddy's base? He goes, hey, you don't know what, your friends, I'm going to move in. This is a great spot. There is a Siege Tank here that has something to do about that. It's probably disagreeing a little bit. I just thought I'd point out one really quick thing, though. Excuse me, I do apologize. Just right here is this Ultra skewered up here on top of that spike. That is absolutely disgusting. Just thought I'd point that out. Just kind of one of those things that the map designers did that I think is just, well, it's cool. If you check it out, they're all over this map. There's Ultralisks absolutely skewered everywhere. It's quite nasty. But I like the art on Habitation Station. It's a lot of fun to watch. There we go. Siege Tank Marine versus Siege Tank Marine. Who's going to come out ahead? +2/+2 for Intense. I'm going to kind of lean towards that right now at the very least. We'll see whether or not Select is able to switch things up just a little bit. As I take a sip of water and continue on with this cast. Yeah, and medevacs are going to fly on out towards the northern side. This is probably the best thing that Intense can do at this particular point in time. Of course, he's in a very good position here at the left-hand side of the map. He's not going to be in any kind of rush to try to push into that siege line. And Select knows it, so... and it's basically, it's a stalemate here. There's just enough meat and potatoes for him to do it. There is going to be a drop up here in the production lines of the main. This is going to force a mass recall of Marines all the way back, and I would actually like to see them trying to take on medevacs and Marines. Is always going to be a little bit more superior than Marines alone. That, oh my gosh, oh, there we go. The barracks does finally fall. Medevacs have arrived here to help support Select, but too little, too late. And that base has basically been cleared all the way out, and Intense is trying to do as much damage as humanly possible. I think he's overextending himself a little bit as the siege tanks look like they're about to get into position, but not doing so. Quick pickup and going to fly all the way back. And this is going to put that position all the way back, but without a couple of unit producing structure, that's going to help things. Although Select catching Intense and siege tanks just a couple seconds there when they were out of position here, and the Marines are going to push on forward into the siege tank line. Not sure if this is the best choice, as all of those Marines are going to get absolutely ripped apart. Only a handful of them surviving as they push on forward through the siege tank lines and on into Select's base. This is where those +2 upgrades I was telling you guys about are going to be so good. And in fact, Select's +2 armor is still yet to even start. Actually, he's only in +2/+1, searching for those +3 attacks. But Intense, on the other hand, is halfway completed his +3/+3, so he's going to have a huge upgrade advantage, at least for a long period of time here. Because Select's only doing one at a time, and this is so big in these games. So, quick snipe though of a medevac. You can see the sky is just littered with them. In fact, we have to kind of zoom in to see all the Marines underneath. It's like they got shade on top of them. There's so many freaking medevacs. So many medevacs, we will block out the sun. Picking up everything is the way to go. Big Doom Drop is going to fly on over. It is going to be seen, and I'm sure Select is going to head right back. Yes, he does. And this is going to get landed up here. There's siege tanks in the mix here. So you can get them down, siege them up, and oh, this is just going to be so bad here for Select, as the siege tanks are just going to rain in nothing but unadulterated pain and Intense. Looking so strong, and Select not feeling the love at all. He's going to actually just sit there and chill with his Marines. You know, they're not going to do too much. Looks like he's just trying to have to deal with the fact there's a siege tank on the low ground shelling on in. He's just going to reposition, and now he's going to start working away. Of course, if you guys are wondering, use the after boost while you're stimming your Marines, and those medevacs get in position much faster here. Siege tank on the low ground is going to get a lot of shots off on the Marines on the high ground. Looks like it's just going to continue to lay waste. I'm a little surprised, actually. And then catching a couple more SCVs, as we do look, lots of them been killed by both people on both sides of the fence here. And, oh my gosh, it's just continuing to be non-stop torrential pain. It is absolutely insane. Medevacs are going to fly out of here, but the afterburners being a little bit late to kick into gear. I guess the cooldown results in a couple of those medevacs flying out of the skies the wrong way, unfortunately. A lot of Marines down here on the bottom left-hand side trying to hunt down this medevac. Not going to get there in time. And yeah, a good load of Marines here from Select are going to get on out of here. Again, they're telling you, oh my God, remember that time? Remember that time when we were on Habitation Station? And there's going to be stories about that, I'm sure. Lots of stories. Lots and lots and lots of stories. But oh my God, the production monster Intense already remaxing. Almost there. 50 supply lead over his opponent. So many medevacs. He can pretty much stim at will. Each of these Marines has their very own medevac. For best results, have one 100 medevac flying over top of each and every Marine. That way you can press the stim button and hold it down. And of course there's going to be that drop. It's going to get mopped on up. That's the one that they were trying to hunt down a little bit earlier. One Marine now gets to tell the tale. Remember all those buddies I had we were just talking about? Yeah, they didn't make it. So, anywho. Oh, well, poor guy. Man, he's just going to be all kinds of screwed up later on in the week. You know, he's going to need a psychotherapist. Or, what do they call them? A psychologist? Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. He's a therapist, that's it. Clearly, I don't go to one. Maybe I should. But we do have a medevac flying around the long way. This is the one with that lonely survivor. But there is, of course, this massive death ball in the center of the map. And I'm not feeling that Intense realizes the severity and the magnitude of the problem. The fact that there is an absolute ton of siege tanks, and now he does. And yeah, that'll be it. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of shots up. This is really, really tricky stuff. Like, this is the center causeway of this map. You need to be able to control it. He who controls this part, not the watchtower, surprisingly, is going to hold the map. So this is going to be really, really tricky here. And again, you can see Intense wants to cut this off with this big death ball of Marines, but in a really tough situation because these siege tanks of Select are just so paramount here. And you can see he's actually slow crawling these siege tanks forward, so they'll always have siege tank coverage. Now, there are siege tanks of his own down in the low ground here. He's actually going to pick up about half the Marines and fly them on out, leaving the remaining medevacs here. At the very least, it will look like a very impressive distraction here because there's not a whole lot of Marines underneath. Just about 12 or so. But the siege tanks is enough to dissuade Select from continuing on with this kind of engagement. He's going to unload all of his Marines on out of here and push on forward. A couple siege tanks on the high ground are going to be a bit of a problem here. They should get mopped up if he can get a couple shots off. But there are reinforcements streaming in from the right-hand side. Meanwhile, the attack of Select is trying to commit here, and Intense in a lot of trouble despite the fact he's playing like an absolute boss. And it's just his units are out of position. Now he's going to push on down and try to clear this out. There are about 4 siege tanks that say something different about that. Also at the same time, Intense is trying to clean things up on the right-hand side. He has annihilated the forces of Select there, annihilated the forces of Select on the left-hand side. It's Intense with a big march through and a big GG. And yes, indeedy, Intense is victorious. Guys and girls, check Intense out, IvDgaming.com or IvDgaming.tv.